morning everyone. This is my presentation about reproduction and development.
During sexual reproduction, the haploid gametes of the male and female individuals of a species combine in a process called fertilization. After fertilization, a series of developmental stages occur during which primary germ layers are established and recognized to form an embryo. During this process, animal tissues begin to specialize and organize into organs to determine their future morphology and physiology. Number 1. Biological development. It is the progressive changes in size, shape, and function during the life of an organism by which its genetic potentials or genotypes are translated into functioning mature systems or phenotype. Number 2. Haploids. Haploids describe a cell that contains a single set of chromosomes, and the term haploid can also refer to the number of chromosomes in an egg or sperm cells, which are also called the gametes. Number 3. Diploid. It describes a cell that contains 2 copies of each chromosome. Nearly all the cells in the human body carry 2 homologous or similar copies of each chromosome. Next is the totipotent. The totipotent is an isolated cell that is able to produce a fertile adult individual, or an isolated cell is transferred to a uterus after inserting into an empty zona pellucida, or after developing to the blastocyst stage in culture, and it gives rise to a fertile adult zygote. Next is we have the gametogenesis. It is a biological process by which diploid or haploid precursor cells undergo a cell division and differentiation to form mature haploid gametes. The existence of multicellular haploid phase in the life cycle between meiosis and gametogenesis is also referred to as alternation of generations. Number 6, we have the fertilization. It is the process of combining the male gamete or sperm with a female gamete or ovum. The product of fertilization is a cell called a zygote. Next is we have the gastrulation. It is the process by which embryonic development that changes the embryo from a blastula with a single layer of cells to a gastrula containing a multiple layers of cells. Gastrulation typically involves the blastula folding in upon itself or dividing, which creates 2 layers of cell, and organisms that do not form a 3rd layer are known as diploblastic organisms. These include jellyfish and related animals. Triploblastic organisms contain a 3rd layer, the mesoderm, which is created from one of the 2 first layers. Triploblastic organisms account for the majority of higher animals. Next is organogenesis. It is the process by which the 3 germ tissue layers of the embryo, which are the ectoderms, endoderms, and the mesoderm, develop into the internal organs of the organism. Next is growth. Now, growth is the increase of cell size and number that take place during the life history of an organism. Next is we have the gastrulation. It is the process by which embryonic development that changes the embryo from a blastula with a single layer of cells to a gastrula containing a multiple layers of cells. Gastrulation typically involves the blastula folding in upon itself or dividing, which creates 2 layers of cell, and organisms that do not form a 3rd layer are known as diploblastic organisms. These include jellyfish and related animals. Triploblastic organisms contain a 3rd layer, the mesoderm, which is created from one of the 2 first layers. Triploblastic organisms account for the majority of higher animals. Organogenesis. It is the process by which the 3 germ tissue layers of the embryo, which are the ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm, develop into the internal organs of an organism. Next, growth. It is the increase of cell size and number that take place during the life history of an organism. Next is we have the identical twins. Identical twins are also known as monozygotic twins. They result from the fertilization of a single egg that splits in two. Identical twins share all their genes and are always of the same sex. In contrast, fraternal or dizygotic twins result from the fertilization of two separate eggs during the same pregnancy. Next is we have the dizygotic twin. Zygotic twin is also called fraternal twin or non-identical twin. Two siblings who came from separate ova or eggs that are released at the same time from an ovary and are fertilized by separate sperm. Next is we have the testes, or is also called testicles. It is a two oval-shaped organs in the male reproductive system. They are contained in a sac of skin called the suctrum, and the suctrum hangs outside the body in the front of the pelvic region near the upper thighs. Number 14 is we have the epididymis. It is a long coiled tube that stores sperm and transport it from the testes. It appears as a curved structure on the posterior or back margin of each testis. Next, we have the scrotal sac. Scrotal sac is a thin external sac of skin that is divided into two compartments. Each compartment contains one of the two testes, the glands that produce sperm, and one of the epididymis, which the sperm is stored. Ductus deferens, also called vas deferens. It is a thick-walled tube in the male reproductive system that transports sperm cells from the epididymis, where the sperm are stored prior to ejaculation. Next is the seminal vesicles. The seminal vesicles are also known as the vesicular or seminal glands. These are a pair of glands found in the male pelvis which function to produce many of the constituent ingredient of the semen. They ultimately provide around 70% of the total volume of semen. Next is the prostate or the prostate gland. The prostate gland is a gland between the bladder and the penis in human males. The gland secretes prostate fluid, a component of seminal fluid which helps sperm cells swim. Next, we have the bulborefera glands, also known as Cooper's glands. These are a pair of P-shaped exocrine glands located on posterolateral to the membranous urethra. They contribute to the final volume of semen by producing a lubricating mucus secretion. We have the clitoris. Clitoris is a small mass of erectile tissue in the female that is situated at the interior apex of the vulva, near the meeting of the labia majora or vulval lips. The clitoris corresponds to the penis in the male. Next, we have the vagina. Vagina is an elastic muscular canal with a soft flexible lining that provides lubrication and sensation. The vagina connects the uterus to the outside world. The vulva and labia form the entrance, and the cervix of the uterus protrudes into the vagina, forming the interior end. Next, we have the cervix. Cervix is the lower narrow end of the uterus that forms a canal between the uterus and vagina. Uterus, the hollow muscular organ in female mammals in which the fertilized ovum normally becomes embedded and in which the developing embryo and fetus is nourished. In the non-ravid human, it is a pear-shaped structure about 3 inches in length, consisting of a body, fundus, isthmus, and cervix. Number 24, endometrium. Endometrium is the innermost lining layer of the uterus and functions to prevent adhesions between the opposed walls of the myometrium, thereby maintaining the patency of the uterine cavity during the menstrual cycle or estrus cycle. The endometrium grows to a thick, blood vessel-rich glandular tissue. Fallopian tube. It is also called the oviduct or uterine tube, either of a pair or long narrow ducts located in a human female abdominal cavity that transport male sperm cells to the egg, provide a suitable environment for fertilization, and transport the egg from the ovary, where it is produced, to the central channel of the uterus. It is being produced. Number 26, we have the ovaries. Ovaries are the female gonads, the primary female reproductive organs. These glands have three important functions. They secrete hormones, they protect the eggs a female is born with, and they release eggs for possible fertilization. Next, we have the implantation. In reproduction physiology, it is the adherence of fertilized egg to a surface in the reproductive tract, usually to the uterine wall, so that the egg may have suitable environment for growth and development into a new offspring. Next, we have the gestation. It is the time between conception and birth, during which the embryo or fetus is developing in the uterus. This definition raises occasionally difficulties because in some species, the exact time of a conception may not be known. In these cases, the beginning of gestation is usually dated from some well-defined point in the reproductive cycle. Next, a human embryo. A human embryo is a discrete entity that has arisen from either the first mitotic division when fertilization of human oocyte by human sperm is complete, or any other process that initiates organized development of a biological entity with a human nuclear genome or altered human nuclear genome that has the potential to develop up to or beyond the stage at which the primitive trait appears, and has not yet reached 8 weeks of the development since the first mitotic division. Next is the menstrual cycle. The menstrual cycle is a complex and controlled by many different glands and the hormones that these glands produce. The four phases of the menstrual cycle are menstruation, and the follicle phase, ovulation, and the luteal phase. Thank you.